The topic is HIV, AIDS, an update from StreetWorks. And of course, we have with us the Executive Director of StreetWorks, Mr. RCrowder. Mr. Crowder, over the last few minutes that we have here, let's give you an opportunity to talk about some of the research and some of the activities that are currently underway dealing with this as an issue.
Well, Dr. Haney, I think the most promising thing that's going on now is the HIV vaccine trials. I think the only way we're going to eradicate this disease is through a vaccine. We know long as man has been on the face of this earth, there's never been a cure for a virus. And the only way we eradicate disease is, for instance, smallpox. We eradicate it with vaccines. Now, I said to that end, there's vaccine trials going on all across the country. The problem with the vaccine trials that's going on is this. You got to have human subjects to participate in the vaccine trials, okay? Now, people of color will not get involved in the research. And they have good reason. They have mistrust for the healthcare system. You know why that is. You look at what happened in previous years, the Tuskegee study, that kind of thing, but that was then. This is now. There's procedures in place now where things like that can never, ever happen again. For instance, they got institutional review boards that review that stuff before it goes out. They have CABs, and that's CAB, CAB, Community Advisory Boards, who looks at it where the community people can get involved. There's all kind of procedures and policies put in place where that can never, ever happen again. And another thing about a vaccine, traditionally, when they're trying to come up with a vaccine, it's usually part of whatever the disease in the vaccine. Well, that's not true with HIV. There's no parts of HIV in the vaccine trials, so a person cannot get HIV by participating in the vaccine trials.
And I think that that's something that has to be emphasized, because one of the reluctance, I think, on the part of many people might be that if you become involved in these trials and you're given some kind of medication, that medication might bring about this whole issue.
Well, that's not true. There's no HIV in the vaccine trials. The other thing you have to understand is that they only take HIV negative people in the HIV vaccine trials. And these trials are, scientists right now think they've had over 1,200 volunteers. The problem with it is, for instance, if only women participate in the vaccine trials, if they come up with a vaccine, then it will only work on women. So they need people of all ethnic backgrounds, they need people of all sex, gender, race, everything. So if they do come up with a preventative vaccine, then it will work in all groups of people. And we as a community of color just will not participate in the trials. And I think that's because of history. But now, again, I must emphasize, that was then. This is now.
Now, you're also saying, I think, that it was also said about another disease, diabetes, I think, that unless African Americans can participate in these trials, that if they do come up with a vaccine and there's no African American participation, there's no certainty that this particular vaccine will have an impact upon that group. And so it's, well, now, how do you, considering all of the difficulties and the history of it and the Tuskegee report and et cetera, how do you convince individuals of color to become involved in these trials?
Again, community education.